Cinemajaw is brought to you by Jackbox Games. Get 5 hilarious party games in the Jackbox Party Pack. From the creators of You Don't Know Jack, now on Xbox One, PS3, PS4, Steam, and more. Go to jackboxgames.com for more info, and we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever. This week we are recording in a very special location, the Death Star. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy. And sitting alongside us, as always, is our engineer and local filmmaker, Elias Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads? I'm not local today because we're on the Death Star.
Yes, in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
You're from Bespin originally, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Tatooine.
How cool is this that the Empire invited us to come up on the Death Star and record here?
Well, you know, the Emperor in his infinite wisdom saw fit to invite the greatest movies podcast, and here we are.
It's pretty awesome. And the other awesome thing is, since we are on the Death Star, Matt, and Rouge One, a Star Wars story, is getting ready to come out in theaters.
Pure coincidence.
What a great time to do our top 5 movie rogues.
I like it. Yes, yeah.
Now, you have a definition for rogue?
Yeah, I have a rough definition.
What do you
I think
got?
So a rogue is somebody whose charisma is maxed out, somebody who uses strategy over brute force to accomplish their goals, and somebody whose, let's say, moral compass may not be completely straight. They don't mind bending the rules here and there to accomplish what they need to get done.
Good. I like that.
Fair definition?
It's a very fair definition.
Okay.
Awesome. We have a great guest who's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes, too.
We do. Jack Newell is back. He is part of the Harold Ramis Film School. He's a filmmaker specializing in comedy, documentary. He's also into public art. Can't wait to talk to this guy.
Can't wait to talk to Jack. And again, like I said, I thank the Empire for inviting us here on the Death Star. But listen how loud this is.
It's really loud in here.
Yeah. Can we close those blast doors?
Phil, can you close the blast doors?
That's
Perfect.
better.
Nice.
Oh, boy, is nice.
Thanks, editor. Phil.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much. Besides all that, Matt, we have a jam-packed jaw, as always, don't we, Elias?
Oh, yeah. We are going eye for an eye on Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
That is, what are the odds? And we have a review of Jackie.
Nice. Plus, there's a new movie. Will Smith has a new movie, Matt, entitled Collateral Beauty. I thought, what better time for you to take Jack on in beauty movie trivia? Think of movies with beauty in the title or beautiful.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good, but no pretty.
No, just beauty or beautiful.
Got it.
Yeah. Wonderful. And with Rogue One coming out and all this news about Star Wars, I was obviously doing some Christmas shopping. If you go to the stores, all you're seeing again, it's like we're little kids and it's back when Empire and Return of the Jedi was out. Yeah. The stores are packed with Star Wars toys.
It's great.
And one of the things I noticed is there are some BB-8s toys all around, right?
Yeah,
and he's right up there now with R2-D2. And I thought, whoa, slow your guns here. If we're talking about a droid,
you
a
just
robot,
missed a golden opportunity to say slow your roll.
Slow your roll. There you go. Okay. I'm talking R2-D2, still by far the most loved droid in the galaxy.
BB-8 has surpassed R2-D2.
Surpassed in one movie? You jackass.
No way. CinemaWAR.
Whew, you are going down on this one.
If
I lose, I may retire.
Well, I lost the Han Solo CinemaWAR famously. I'll tell you about that another time.
Sure.
Still crying in my cornflakes over that one.
Unbelievable. So without further ado, we bring in our guest. As we mentioned, Jack Newell is a director of a film such as Open Tables. He has some documentaries coming out. He works over at the Harold Ramis Film School. Jack Newell, welcome back to Cinemajaw.
Thanks very much for having me. Happy to be back. I catched a ride out of Coruscant.
Nice. That's
Did
how
you
you
take
got
Star
in
Wars
here.
Planet?
Did you take the Y-Wing over? Those are so smooth.
It's a pretty smooth ride, yeah. It was nice.
I recommend it.
Yeah, it's really comfortable up here. I got to give them credit for how roomy the Death Star is.
Yeah, I guess not all the vendors have moved in yet, and TCBY isn't quite open yet, which is kind of a drag.
Yeah, but there's the other frozen yogurt place right down the hall.
The other frozen yogurt place. That's my favorite.
It was Yogurtland, right? Yeah.
And they do have cheap Jawa juice down the hallway. So.
Nice.
I love that Jawa juice.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's funny, Jack. We actually ran into Jack at the Chicago Comedy Film Festival,
That's right.
where me and Matt were doing some Q&As over there. And Jack's movie, Open Tables, was screening at the Chicago Comedy Film Festival, and it is screened at quite a bit of festivals. It even was at the Chicago International Film Festival a year ago, correct?
Yeah.
So where are we at with Open Tables, and sort of refresh the Jawheads exactly what the movie is about?
Yeah, sure. So we basically done with festivals. We did a year and some months of film festivals, maybe like 14 or 15 months of film festivals, which is great. It screened everywhere across the United States. We won a couple of awards, and that's all the good news. And then we came out to iTunes, Amazon, and YouTube this past Friday. So Friday the 2nd.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so now you can download it or rent it or do whatever you want. And the film it's about kind of an exploration of how people come together over food and the relationships and all the conversations and broken hearts and people falling in love that all happen kind of over meals or over drinks or over coffee or whatever.
Now, is the plot like an anthology with separate stories? Do they tie together?
Yeah, so the first half of the film takes place at a dinner party, and a couple people tell stories, and you actually get to go see those stories. So
okay.
Like we
it's like
leave
a flashback-esque.
Kind of, yeah. And then they go and you hear what you think is the whole story, but what you actually find out as the film progresses is that each story you've only heard the beginning of. And so usually it's about people coming together in like these kind of highly romantic and romanticized ways. And then the dinner party ends and everyone kind of goes in their special merry way. And you start to find out that these stories don't have the happy ending that you expected. But it all kind of comes together in that it's like essentially building up to the moment between the main character Ryan and Cassie, who was kind of like, they were set up at the dinner party. It didn't go well at the dinner party, but throughout the course of the film, by hearing actually all of these other people's terrible experiences in love, they end up kind of falling in love.
Interesting. Awesome. And I mentioned that you directed the film, but it should be noted also that you star as the lead Ryan in the movie.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
How was it directing yourself? And be honest.
Yeah, you just take it really easy on yourself. Just like you tell the other actor, like, wow, you really screwed up that line. I was perfect, but you really screwed up that line. No, it was fine. It was we shot the movie kind of weird, and without getting into kind of too many of the details about that, we had 40 days, which is a lot for an indie feature. Most indie features do like 13, 18, somewhere in there. And we also shot over 9 months. So we would
very spaced out.
Yeah, very spaced out. Star Wars reference. I like it.
We are on the Death Star, sure.
And so we shot like nights and weekends, or we'd shoot like 3 or 4 days, and then we'd take some time off. And what I ended up doing was I was writing, rewriting, shooting, editing, reshooting, kind of doing that all the way. So just to try and, because I'd done another indie before that, and then we did it like 11 days, and it was like, that's not fun. Anyone who gets up there at a film festival or like comes on the show is like, we shot this in 10 days. It's like, no one had fun on that shoot. Like, you're all tired, you're exhausted. It's just, so we tried to do it a slightly different way. And it was really cool because we were able to just kind of attack it a little bit more mindfully. And if we shot stuff that like I thought was going to be good, and I was like, that doesn't work. And so we threw it out and we were able to rewrite it and reshoot it. But all that to say, and how I got into it was that the scenes with Ryan, we shot last. So that was like basically the only character we had not cast. And I was thinking I could do it.
Didn't that put more pressure on you at that point?
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, I remember going to meet with Stephanie and Matt, who is my director of photography and my production designer, for a pre-production meeting, and it was going to be the day I told them that I was going to do it, and I was like,
oh wait, they didn't know?
No, they didn't know. They just, because like she's focusing on the pictures and Matt's focusing on the props and the set design. I mean, it's
so you
in their
sprung
brain.
this on them.
A little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, and my stomach was like doing somersaults. I was just like, because I've done very, very little bit of acting, but I was like, the problem with Open Tables, or the problem that could have been with Open Tables, is that role, if done incorrectly, could have been like some guy's bad interpretation of Woody Allen, which is not what I wanted. Just kind of nebbish and losery and just kind of, that whole Woody Allen thing. And the flip side of it, because he tells a lie about the three-way in Paris. So tune in, Open Tables, three-way in Paris.
Because as he said, we get to see these stories.
You get to see these stories. So
nice.
Yeah. He could also, if he's not Woody Allen into like the nebbish loser, he's like a total jerk, like, and goes the opposite direction to like just kind of irredeemable almost. And I was like, well, I think I know how to do this in a way that like kind of walks that line that goes in between those two. And so I was feeling like I could do it. And then I remember going to meet with them, and I was just like, oh God, I feel like miserable. And I finally told them, and they were both like, thankfully, we both were like, oh, that's great. They were like, no response, like zero reaction. Like, okay, that sounds good. And so the logistics was just a good team, script supervisor Steve and the DP Stephanie and Matt. Just, we would do takes, and I'd look back over the camera and be like, how was that? And they'd be like, not so good. And I'd be like, okay. So
you sort of let them direct you when you were in front of the camera.
Yeah. Or let the other actors, like, so, when you shoot a scene, it's like if it's between you and me, like camera's on me, you're not on camera. You're just acting. And normally, sometimes that actor isn't even on set. Like they've gone away, That happens on big Hollywood movies. On indies, not so much. But, you just have your scene partner essentially direct you. And I'd be like, how was that? And they'd be like, yeah, it was pretty good. And, so it was very, we made the movie very collaboratively. We made the movie in kind of a weird way, like shooting it over 9 months in that kind of way. And it was this just kind of an experiment of just a different way to make movies. Because going to film school, they basically like, here's the way to make movies. And it's like,
there's other ways.
You learn that. There is other ways. And it was like, could we make it a different way? So, yeah.
That's cool.
It is. And you must have some type of love affair with food because you also are directing.
You're clearly fat.
Yeah. No, not the case. Because you are also directing a documentary entitled Courses.
Yeah.
So this is another project that you got your hands on. And this involves actually a chef who, I guess you can further explain it. My understanding is he was almost like a street chef.
Underground. So out of his house.
And now he's one of the top chefs.
Yeah, and so Open Tables was wrapping up. We were editing it, and I had, through the process, gotten to eat at a lot of restaurants and kind of understood the scene better. Got a chance to go to his underground restaurant, which is called Sioux Rising, and it's in Uptown. And so people who live in Chicago or don't live in Chicago.
And the name of the chef?
Oh, Jake Bickelhaupt is his name.
Wait, what's his last name?
Bickelhaupt.
Really?
Yeah, why?
That's an awesome last name.
Yeah. I'll tell him he said that.
Sounds like a good beer or something.
Yeah, Bickelhaupt. He's very, Wisconsin, very German kind of.
Clearly.
Right. And so we kind of get these tickets at like half price from like a silent auction, and I'm like, let's just do it. Like, who knows? But it's in Uptown, and for the listeners to the Jaw that don't know Uptown, it's kind of like, like Crackton and in The Simpsons. It's just like it's always 5 years away from turning it around, but they'll never turn it around.
Very true. That is an apt description of Uptown.
But I like Uptown.
Oh, I love
nice.
I used to live Uptown. I love Uptown.
Nick's Uptown is one of my favorite bars in the city.
Totally. I mean, it's like the lovable loser. It's just like the Bad News Bears, but it never wins at the end. They just always. So Uptown, you're like, okay, this is weird, and like you're going into someone's house in Uptown for a 20-course tasting menu with 8 strangers. You're like, this could be awful. And I remember Rebecca and I had like my wife, we had like a code word, like it was strawberry. It was like, if we, strawberry, like let's get out of here. If like people start, it's like turns into a swinger party or something like that. And no, it was amazing. The food, I mean, the service was impeccable. The food was amazing. At the end of the meal, everything was just, better than the next. And I was like, hey, would you ever be interested in letting me film you? And he was like, sure. And so I just started filming with them. And then they were like, we're going to open up a restaurant. I was like, I'll keep filming. I filmed for the first year of them doing it, and kind of all of the things that happened within that first year of like firing chefs and creating menus and all this stuff, which I don't want to go into a ton of detail. So
that's a whirlwind. I've actually been through some restaurant openings in my time.
Yeah,
in my day job. It's nuts.
It's insane. I mean, it's such really a crazy insane world, and it's like you live in the opposite. Film is like this a little bit, but in restaurants, it's absolutely like this because everyone else is going out, and that's when their life is happening. Like they're going out on first dates or last dates or like anniversaries or birthday parties. Like they're living their life. They're coming to the restaurant to live their life, and you filming it, I was like, oh my god, like it's so weird being on the flip side of that.
Sure.
And it's an intro, and that's one of the things with the documentary. It's because the team at what ended up becoming 42 Grams, it was Jake Bickelhaupt and his wife Alexa Welsh, and then a dishwasher named Haywood, and a sous chef sometimes if they weren't being fired. So very small team and in a very small restaurant. So you kind of see it from the opposite side.
How many tables in the restaurant? Just roughly.
Well, they only feed 18 people a night.
Okay.
So they do.
Very small.
They have a 10 top that they turn, and sometimes it's a little bit, 8 or 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is like very fancy food. I mean,
right.
This isn't like a hot dog joint. So it's like, Michelin starred kind of restaurant kind of place. Yeah.
That's pretty neat. And now another film that we do want to touch on, and you talked about last time you were on Cinemajaw, was How to Build a School in Haiti, which is a documentary about building a school in Haiti that is, I guess, just years in the making here. You're still at it on this particular project. Yeah,
started that in 2011. And it's funny because I've had the idea for courses, made courses, and now we're submitting to film festivals, in the time that I haven't even shot the other documentary. So that's just like why documentary is terrible, basically. And so it's fascinating. It's a longitudinal kind of portrait of the construction of a single school in Haiti. And it starts before when they're meeting with the community, and then goes through the entire construction of the school, and then what happens after the school is built and open and all that. And We have a great character in Tim. He's a real human being. He's not a character, but for the movie, he's a character. This American who
subject.
Thank you. Yeah. He's a great subject, and he's a guy who heard about the earthquake and felt compelled to help.
Oh, so he's an American.
He's an American.
Okay.
He's like, now he's 71 or 72. So when it happened, he was 67, and he was like, "Look, I'm semi-retired. I know how to build buildings." He's a construction manager out of Carbondale, Colorado, which is outside of Aspen. Aspen is where all the rich people live. Carbondale is where all the people who work in Aspen live.
Got it.
And he was like, kind of like, I've built mansions for millionaires for like my last 30 years. Like, I want to do something that actually helps people. And he finds himself in Haiti, and I find myself actually right next to him the entire time. And so it's just an incredible learning curve.
How did that connection come together? I mean, how did you meet this guy?
Yeah. So it all started on a podcast, actually.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was a podcast called Planet Money. It was put on by NPR.
Oh, I'm very familiar.
Yeah. And after the earthquake, they did a couple stories about how foreign rice donations were hurting the local rice economy. So after the earthquake, the first thing that gets activated is rice. And so rice and food aid comes in, and it comes flooding in. And then if I'm a farmer in Haiti, I can't sell my rice anymore because you've just given it all away for free. So NPR starts doing a story about that, and they find themselves 3 hours north of where the earthquake was. The earthquake was in a place called Léogâne, which is right next to Port-au-Prince. They found themselves 3 hours north of that in like the breadbasket, or like the Great Plains. It's called Tibonite. And it's essentially where all the rice in the country is made. And they find this woman on the side of the road. This story is almost it almost sounds fake, but they meet a woman on the side of the road, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't sell my rice anymore. Like, I'm not getting what it's worth, and I got to pay to send my kids to school, because in Haiti, all school is basically private. So elementary through college, you have to pay. So they don't have a public school system like we do. They do, but they don't have any funding for it, and without getting in the details about that. And so they go, like, we got to see, like, she's spending like a third of her yearly salary on school. So like, we got to see the school. It's going to be a great school. And they go, and it's a church. And it's not very big, and there's 4 classes, probably 100 kids in there, cacophonous, chalkboards leaning up against the side of the wall. And the NPR reporter's like, "God, it's really moving." It's like seeing, they're trying to get education, but they can't because they don't have good resources. And so listeners back in the United States give some money, and they try to build, I'm going to fast forward through the story a little bit, they try to build a new school with that, and they only got $3,000 US. And it wasn't enough to build a new school. They were only able to build a foundation. And basically that's where the NPR story ends, which is like, well, not going to happen.
Just a foundation.
Just a foundation.
Empty hole.
Basically an empty hole, yeah. It's like the spire, the Chicago spire of Haiti. Which in relative terms, it's like if someone gave you $500,000 to build a skyscraper, you'd probably be like, "I think I could probably do that." And then you'd quickly realize that $500,000 probably only builds the whole, right? So relatively speaking, $3,000 to us doesn't sound like very much, but when you're living on $1 a day, that's 10 years worth of wages. So you're kind of like, "Oh man, that's a lot," So
yeah, we can get it done.
We can get it done, yeah. So it doesn't happen. And so all that to say, coming back around, I'm driving in my car one afternoon in April of 2011, because the earthquake was in 2010, January 2010. And so that first part of the story I just told takes us through 2010. I'm driving my car in April. The whole time when I was hearing the other story, I was like, "Man, this would be a great movie." But I'm not Haitian.
So you heard
I don't
it
speak
on
Creole.
NPR.
Yeah, I was listening to NPR the whole time. I was like, "Man, this would be a great movie. Like, so interesting." But I was like, "I'm not Haitian. I don't speak Haitian Creole. I have no access point in." I was just like, doesn't make sense, right? And so I'm driving in my car, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm listening to the podcast, and it's almost like the podcast's ending, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we have an update from Haiti. Tim, this guy from Colorado, heard the story and is going to build the school."
There's your in.
And I was like, "There's my in." And I literally, it was like, I'm not like really religious person or anything like that, but it was this moment where I was just like, felt like touched or whatever. I was like, "I got to do this." And
That's awesome, man.
I turned my car around and I like went home and I found him on the internet, and because they kind of gave some information about how to find him, I emailed them and said, "Hey, my name's Jack. I'm from Chicago. I'm a documentary filmmaker, although I had not made any documentaries at that point. I just was like, I want to make a movie about you guys." And Tim and his partner on this, Fred, a guy from North Carolina who had never met, they both just heard the podcast and got connected. And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And we got on the phone in April of that year, and then we met in the Port-au-Prince airport in July, so 2 months later.
How awesome is that?
And just started making the movie. It was crazy.
The cool thing is that you followed your impulse. That you took such a crazy idea and just went for it, and now here you are.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes you look back and it's like, knowing what I know now, one of those kind of things, like, would you do it? And I don't know. It's weird. Like when you get older, you get smarter, but also dumber at the same time. Because doing it was the best thing I've ever done. But now knowing what I know, I almost feel like, what should I have done that? You know. And also you just get life starts to happen. You get jobs and kids and all that other stuff. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. I was just wondering. I'm sure there's people driving in their car listening to this podcast, and are they ever, in tune to turn around and go do something crazy that's going to change their lives because of Cinemajaw?
Maybe they'll build a Death Star. You never know.
Quite possibly.
Or maybe
right?
they'll do something really crazy, like try to take down the Empire.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome.
If any of you rebels are listening right now.
Yeah, some farm boy over on maybe Tatooine listening, right?
Laughable.
Never happened. Nothing can take down this star.
It's impenetrable.
Yeah.
It's a juggernaut.
Yeah, this thing's awesome. So for all the jawheads listening to this that want to check out Open Tables, find out more about how to build a school in Haiti, and also find out your documentary courses, where's the best place to find all of this information online?
I'd probably say website, jackcnewell.com. OpenTablesMovie.com is great for that one. Courses doesn't really have a website yet. Haiti does. So yeah, if you just Google my name and any of those, you'll find us. Yeah.
Awesome. And I know we're going to have you back on when the Haiti movie
that'd be great.
Comes out.
Yeah.
Because we just want to keep calling more attention to it,
Yeah, well, thanks. That's great. I think it's a great project, and I haven't even told you because I want to make you guys watch the movie. Some of the kind of biggest things that happen throughout the course of the film. I mean, there's some pretty wild stuff that happens.
Yeah,
so.
I can imagine. Awesome. Great guest, Jack. And you
Indeed.
love to meet filmmakers because we're sitting here on Cinemajaw constantly talking and promoting independent film here on Cinemajaw. So
it's great.
It's awesome to have someone on the Death Star with us talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks for coming all this way. And if I didn't mention it earlier, I appreciate it.
It's okay. The jump to light speed is actually pretty, you don't really feel it that much.
No,
so.
there's a lot of ado about nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues, get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Elias, you got anything in the cannon?
Yes, I do. So, Jack, you directed Open Tables. If you could sit down and have dinner with any working director, who would it be and what kind of food would you order?
Wow, good one.
These are less silly and more like insightful.
Oh, I got some silly ones coming up.
Okay, you're setting. Okay, good. Oh, goodness.
Working director, and what's the meal you're breaking bread over?
That's really, really hard. Can we throw this around the table? I'd love to hear these guys. I mean, I'm not trying to shirk, but I'd just be curious to hear what you guys think.
We probably were going to ask you guys anyway. So.
Living or dead? Or just
He said living.
Working.
Living.
Working,
actually. So it can't be some washed up.
I would probably go, I'll take Wes Anderson over some fancy ramen noodle place.
Yeah, that's good. I like that one.
Gareth Edwards.
Wow.
Well, we're on the Death Star.
Yeah.
And what are you eating?
Geez. I really like, I want to say sushi because it makes it sound like... Fancy, yeah, but no, I don't know. Probably burgers.
Or sushi burritos.
Something with bacon on it.
Yeah.
So, Matt, something with bacon on it.
Gosh, you guys went too fast on that one. Uh-oh. I'll say I really love Steven Soderbergh. He's the first one that came into my mind, so I got to go with him. And what are we eating? I don't know. He's kind of a weirdo, so probably like fish tacos. I don't know if that's that weird, but
I like it.
It's a little odd. I always thought fish tacos were weird.
Yeah. Keep that question around, Elias. That's a good one. Might
that's
have
a
to
good
ask that
one.
one again.
Yes.
Now
Yeah,
some
good
silly
one.
ones, maybe.
Yes. Well, so you mentioned that Open Tables could have been interpreted as a bad Woody Allen film. If you had to make a bad interpretation of a Woody Allen film, which one would you interpret?
so like, what is that essentially? What's my favorite Woody Allen?
Yeah, pretty much. But you have to make a bad interpretation.
A bad
of it,
version
whether you
of
like
my
it or not.
favorite
Yeah.
Woody Allen movie. Is that is that like double negative territory? So if you take one of his bad ones and do a bad one of it, it turns
Maybe
good.
You could, you could be
Ooh.
the one that.
These are silly cinema cues, so I have with them.
my favorite Woody Allen movie, because that's what I'm gonna say that you said, is Hannah and Her Sisters.
Love it. Sure.
I like that one a lot. I think Annie Hall's great, but whatever. And actually, Hannah and Her Sisters there's references in Open Tables to that movie.
Oh, nice.
Well, there we
Nice
go.
little tie-in.
The restaurant I haven't told anyone this. The restaurant that they go to at the end is called The Three Sisters.
And that's why.
And that's why.
Hey.
Wow.
See,
there you go.
We get to the goods here on Cinemajaw.
I'm a Woody Allen guy. I love my Woody Allen, so I'm there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Check this out.
And the idea that there's the three women in like they're not sisters, but they're
Soulmates,
air
if you will.
quoting sisters on the
So
radio.
Yeah.
fair to say it was an influence on you.
Absolutely.
Especially since consciously you were trying not to make it too strong of an influence on your performance.
Right. It's funny. So I think I already did make the bad
Well, there you
interpretation
go.
of Hannah and
Wow.
Her Sisters with
That
Open
makes
Tables.
sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
Well, there's another connection.
Ooh.
Carolyn Neff, who is Cassie in the film, I cast her from the Three Sisters play at Steppenwolf. She was in the Steppenwolf Three Sisters.
Oh, nice.
And so there's another Three Sisters thing.
I think I saw that play.
And Hannah and Her Sisters is Three Sisters by Chekhov. It's his version. It's his bad version of Chekhov and my bad version of. So yeah, three
full
times.
circle.
It all comes full circle. Exactly.
Love it.
Yes, and we were in a giant circle, the Death Star.
The Death Star.
Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay. So,
Mind blown.
Yeah.
So you had a code word, strawberry, with your wife to leave the dinner party if you needed to. If here on the Death Star a swinger party breaks out, what would your code word be for us to all get out of here?
Oh, what would the word be?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't know. Trying to think of
Something that they might say in their vocabulary, right?
I just do Darth Vader.
I got it.
Okay, good.
Nerf herder.
Nerf herder.
Perfect.
Yeah. Took a second, but I got there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like it.
Nerf herder.
Nerf herder.
Awesome.
Was that everything?
That's all.
All right. So also, Jack, anywhere to follow you on Twitter or all that good stuff if people want to get updates that way?
Yeah, at Jack C. Newell on Twitter. I'm the first guy that got the Jack C. Newell on Gmail and
done.
also on Twitter. Yeah, that's really the best accomplishment of my life. And on Instagram, just at Jack C. Newell. Yeah.
Sweet.
You got it on Instagram too, huh? It's the trifecta.
I'm an early adopter of the...
Well
Social
done.
media. Good stuff. So Jack is going to be sitting in on this entire jaw here on the Death Star. He's got his top 5 favorite rogues in movie history.
I'm excited about this.
I am too, and really, it should be known. We always go back and forth behind the scenes here on picking topics. And Matt, this was your topic, so well done.
Well, you keep suggesting like famous British actors and famous British I'm like, dude, nobody wants to hear that. Let's do rogues.
You can only say Michael Caine so many times.
Right. He wanted to do British actresses. I mean,
I did. Well, you got Felicity
That's a
Jones,
really short
and
list.
I just thought, well, this could be a good time to do it, you know. So yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say that. There's
I was
plenty
gonna say,
of
Matt,
yeah,
yikes, short list.
But as far as the American palette goes, it might be a bit of a short list.
for you know, Philistines like you, possibly.
After the podcast, I challenge you to name more than 10.
All right, I'll take you. I'll take you
Okay.
on for that. All right, Matt. It does bring us to a segment, Eye for an Eye. Elias.
Yes, eye for an eye. Interested?
Whoa, hold on. I'd hate to interrupt you, but do you hear that? I think they're making an announcement here. Let's give it a second.
All right.
Reminder, Tuesdays are garbage days. Please make sure all waste is thrown in the trash compactor before dinner.
Ah, funny that they have garbage on Thursdays, huh?
Well, you know, they have to pick a day.
Yeah. Interesting.
Eye for an eye, interested or ignore. But today we're actually pretty much all interested, so we're going to talk about concerns that we might have for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Jyn Erso, a rebellion soldier and criminal, is about to experience her biggest challenge yet when she sets out on a mission to steal the plans for the Death Star. What? With help from the rebels...
It'll never work.
With help from the rebels, a master swordsman, and non-allied forces, Jyn will be in for something bigger than she thinks. The film stars Felicity Jones, Ben Mendelsohn, and Forrest Whitaker. It is directed by Garth Edwards, who previously directed Godzilla in 2014 and the indie smash Monsters in 2010. We throw it over to Rye. Interested or ignore?
Yeah, obviously interested here. I don't even have to ring the bell. Everybody knows interested. Concerns? I guess maybe that this whole idea that we had originally had this CinemaWAR about, that there were these reshoots, but ultimately I wasn't too worried about the reshoots because this is a big studio movie and they're very commonplace. So that didn't really throw me off all that much. I think if I had to go to a second concern, it is this fact that there was mention that Disney was disappointed in the fact that Star Wars Episode 7 sort of underperformed in China because Star Wars is sort of new there, and this is the new global box office.
Really? If that's your biggest concern, I mean...
Well, here's where it is. So what happens?
Kathleen Kennedy needs to lighten up.
So what happens? All of a sudden, we have a very famous Chinese actor now cast in the role, and this is no doubt a clear appeal to the Chinese box office to get the ball rolling out there, and I don't like that. I mean, then all of a sudden, is that really going to fit? Is what I'm saying is, are they sacrificing the story of Star Wars just for the almighty dollar over in China? That's my one slight concern here. Matt?
Well, I really can't wait to find out exactly how many Bothans had to die to get those plans. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't. First of all, that guy, and his name escapes me.
Ben Mendelsohn?
Is he the Chinese guy? He was
No. Throw in the jaw box. I don't even know.
I
who it
believe
is.
it, and I could be wrong. This is jawbox worthy as well.
Yeah.
Was he the actor that played Ip Man?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So maybe it's a political move on Disney's part. I don't care because I love him and I'm really excited to see him. I'm excited to see Forrest Whitaker. Do I have concerns? Yeah, I guess the rumors that they toned down the war aspect of it had me a little concerned, because I really wanted them to concentrate on the war part of Star Wars and give us a grittier look at this. This is a war. This is a struggle where there are battles and lives are at stake. And I kind of want to see a war film in the Star Wars universe. So I hope they didn't downplay that too much. That's my big concern.
It's not called Star Discussions.
Right.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars.
Jack, how about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, definitely interested. I love Ben Mendelsohn. I think he's an incredible talent. I don't know if you guys saw Animal Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's an Australian film a couple years ago. Really, really good.
Okay.
But I think he's fantastic. I liked him in Dark Knight Rises. I thought he was a small part in that, but he's really good. Everything he's in, I think. So I'm excited to see him. He's probably not going to be in it a ton, to be honest. Concerns? I think it was like the second trailer, or maybe the first. Or the first international one. But one of them was like super inspirational speech trailer. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we got to do this for the rebel. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And there was a moment where everyone's just like nodding their heads, and I was like, I don't like that at all.
It's when Forrest Whitaker is the one giving the speech.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, and I don't know, it just was like a little too cutesy. But that's just a trailer, so who knows? The Pearl Harbor trailer was really good, and that movie was not so good. So trailers are misleading. But that's my kind of concern. And we were kind of talking about this before about the new Star Wars episode
Today's Pearl
7.
Harbor Day, by the way.
Oh, wow, weird.
Isn't
We're
it?
recording on.
Whoa,
Should say.
they were recording, yeah.
What we were talking about with the 7th Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, of just like, I want to push it a little bit. I want them to go in kind of new territory kind of thing. And I think that's a double side, because it's like, this is new and it's like a Star Wars story, so it's not part of so they're not going to redo the movie again like they did with Force Awakens.
It's
Total
uncharted
offshoot.
territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but it's like, will they actually make it Uncharted, or will it just kind of be like everything else we've seen?
Well, there's AT-ATs in it, so
Yeah, in the jungle, which is pretty cool.
that is way cool.
Super cool. I feel like what they do is they have like a selector wheel, and it's like, okay, we were in the winter this first time, so we have to be on the opposite side of that.
What haven't we done yet, guys?
Yeah, what
Jungle.
happened? Yeah, do it.
Love it. Elias, how about you?
Yes, I'm interested. And you know that Jack was talking about a trailer of the inspirational speech. I don't think that was the Forrest Whitaker one, because the Forrest Whitaker, it seemed like he had an alone moment with Jin, I believe is her character name.
It's like his fight. You must fight.
I was very impressed by that
Me
moment
too.
with Forrest Whitaker. What will you become? Like that was huge to me. And so that blew my mind because there was some cheesiness otherwise of like the rebels, because obviously what they're going to do. And so it was a little too squeaky clean for some of the other lines in that. But concerns, I guess I would be concerned over, what if we like these characters a ton and then they try to squeeze more in the future, like a couple more movies out of?
Oh, they're gonna.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I don't think so. Not out of this storyline.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, I think they're all. I hope. Here's my concerns. I hope they all die.
That's what I would like.
It
Also.
says that they're gonna die.
Only the Bothans die.
Yeah, but I think they're not gonna all die. But I really feel like they should all die.
Right.
The first
That
Bothan
would
you see
be
on screen, you're going to die.
It's like the red shirts in Star Trek.
Well, at
You're
least
dead.
the main character, what's her name? Jin?
Jin.
If she dies, that would be pretty damn awesome. I mean, she steals the Death Star plans
and then
and
dies.
sacrifices herself and
I'm
dies
into that.
somehow. I
Right.
totally would be
Super
into that as
exactly.
well.
Well, right, and they sort of set her up like that because
Right.
she's like an irredeemable type. So
Right.
Yeah, so that's all.
For interested, obviously.
Yeah.
So hopefully we check this one out and get a review for you next week.
cannot wait.
Yeah, especially here on the Death Star.
yeah.
Speaking of new movies, Matt, since the 1960s through today, there has been plenty of films about the Kennedys, yet few, if any, have ever focused solely on Jackie Kennedy. Natalie Portman transforms into the First Lady to tell the harrowing story of Jackie on the days just after her husband was assassinated. Is this a misfire or an Oscar contender? The Jaw crew all sat down and checked out Jackie.
People like to believe in fairy tales. Don't let it be forgot that for one brief, shining moment, there was a Camelot. There won't be another Camelot. Not another Camelot.
Let me start by saying Jackie is a one-woman show. Natalie Portman is simply amazing as Jackie Kennedy, expressing a wide range of emotions throughout the film. It opens with her being interviewed by an unnamed reporter played by Billy Crudup. a week after the tragic events in Dallas. The film then is told in 3 stages: the interview, flashbacks to the days after the assassination, and the day of the assassination itself. The bulk taking place in the days after, when Jackie is being consoled by Bobby Kennedy, played masterfully by Peter Sarsgaard, while trying to arrange the funeral all along. Through her grief, she must also think of the Kennedy legacy and how they will be remembered. She must think of her children, their safety, her safety, but she must also think of the country and what is best for the greater good. As I mentioned, Portman carries the film in what some may argue is her best performance yet. Oscar nomination for sure, possibly a second win here. Other highlights include the amazing score by Mika Levy, who also did Under the Skin. It complements the tone of the movie in an amazing way, really brings out the sadness and isolation Jackie must have felt. Also, the cinematography here was a highlight. Very, very seldom, Matt, do you see a biopic shot in an art house kind of way, but that was the case here. Jackie lived up to the legend for me. How about you?
I loved it. I really, really did. It's Oscar bait, which I don't usually go in for, but I took the bait in this one, and I fell in love with Jackie. Absolutely hit it on the head by saying this is a one-woman show. It is the Natalie Portman show, and oh my God, did I not fall in love with her. Right afterward, I went and looked at pictures of Jackie Kennedy Onassis just to, she's no Natalie Portman, all right? But in this movie, like, the voice she has, did you not just immediately fall in love with the inflection? She did this like spot on 60s, almost like a British accent, which I guess is how Jackie O kind of sounded. She had that husky, raspy voice.
Yeah, I guess it's East Coast-esque dialect.
Yeah, well, she was from Boston,
right.
So that sort of makes sense. I loved it. I mean, such a visually amazing movie while being understated at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. It wasn't like grand cinematography of landscapes or anything, but just even in the close-ups, the screen was like melting in front of me. It was gorgeous.
And I think it's the close-ups where the cinematography really shines. I mean, there's a lot of close-ups of Jackie in the White House, obviously on the assassination day.
Yeah.
There's throwbacks to when she did the big television special where she sort of opened up the White House to the country and sort of showed everybody what was going on in the White House, which was for a television audience the first time they'd ever seen it.
And I think it's been such an American fascination of who killed JFK and why that we forgot at any point, or at least I certainly have my entire life, to think about what it must have been like for Jackie to tell her children that their father wasn't coming home.
Right.
I had never considered that. I'd never really stopped to think what that must have been like for this human being to do. And if obviously it's devastating, but on a such grander scale because of her situation being in the White House. And I must admit, like during that scene, I cried. I mean, It was just devastating.
I think that's what one of the champions of this film for me is this idea that it sort of humanized the Kennedy story. We've seen it so many times, and no of them is almost mythical in a way. You know what I mean? It's like this story that we just know Kennedy was assassinated. Jackie Kennedy was beautiful, and you get these like lore of the Kennedys. And here, this really humanized Jackie, and in a way, and especially that scene that you talk about when she has to go to the kids and let them know that, their father is never coming home again. And not to mention, I didn't even know the timeline of when Ruby exactly shot Oswald.
It was like a week later, maybe less.
But this is during the process of the funeral that you see. And here she's trying
really fast.
Yeah. And then at that point, all questions of safety during the funeral come into question. Again, not being a child of that era, these are probably facts that maybe people knew about, then, but I clearly wasn't aware of. But the idea of like, are they going to parade outside and are their children, in danger? I never even thought about that. But the country was really just up for grabs at that time, and people didn't know what was going to happen. People were afraid.
Yeah.
And I thought the movie really carried that message through as well.
I agree.
Elias, you saw this one as well.
Yeah, I'll add that you just said the country was afraid. It was the Cold War, too. So there was all those
the
fears.
Cuban Missile
exactly.
Crisis was just a year old at that point.
Right, so there was already that tension. That was pretty nuts. The very first minute of the film, you hear the score, and I heard that, and I was like, oh, this is like some sort of ripoff of the Under the Skin soundtrack. I just learned it's the same guy, which makes me like it a little bit more, which is good to know. I will say, like, her voice was relentlessly wispy, and
you didn't like it?
But I did like it. But
that was a style in the '60s,
right? But at no point throughout the entire film, and I know she went through a tragedy, did she not let on and like become a human? She's like royalty the entire time. She's higher, and mightier.
I think that's
than,
just who she is, right? Or
yeah,
at least
maybe.
That's what they were trying
mean,
to say.
I guess, yeah, maybe that's just who she was. I need to research her more. But that was a little like relentless for me, and I was like, oh man, Natalie's like really going all out on this voice. So
I loved it.
Well, another thing, so the throwbacks you guys mentioned to her showing the White House on the TV was a big part of that, and there was a lot of other throwbacks within the film itself of her confiding with a priest, with her own feelings.
Played by John Hurt, which should be mentioned.
Oh, yeah. And he was doing great.
Excellent. Yeah.
And then throwbacks to the actual shooting. And I feel like the editing style in this film, there's a lot of jumping. They didn't let any one throwback breathe, because throughout the film, they're showing her showing the White House on TV. Throughout the film, towards the end, they're showing her talk to that priest. They never went for like a good solid 10-minute scene of her, having one of those moments. And I felt disconnected from all those scenes.
So you didn't like that? You found that to be negative?
I was so aware of how this film could have been totally different if it was edited by 10 other editors, like top editors. It could have been completely different. And like it was weird starting off with
I disagree with you.
It was weird starting off with the interview when you could have started off with such a powerful moment, obviously, like
the assassination.
Yes, exactly.
See, but I'll save it. But I'll say that I think that they chose that editing style on purpose to show how shattered and out of touch she was. If it had been a comfortable story to follow linearly, it wouldn't have made the viewer feel as disjointed and get into her psyche as well.
Possibly, but the performances are so great that I wanted to spend 10 minutes with the priest. I wanted to spend 10 minutes with Bobby Kennedy, Peter Sarsgaard. And even Greta Gerwig, I wrote down, was amazing. She had amazing presence as Nancy Tuckerman.
And she's only done comedy before,
right,
so this was quite strange to see her in a serious role.
It was a small role. But
She was the Jackie's confidant who helped her with her children. That was amazing, but again, they kept jumping from her, and I felt that if this was edited a little bit differently, it would be a very highly rated movie by me, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so enough about the negative stuff. Do you guys have a favorite scene in this movie?
Yourself, Matt?
Favorite scene for me, I guess when it's rough calling this my favorite scene, but it was definitely the scene that affected me the deepest was when she tells the children that daddy's not coming home. Oh my God. I mean, it just leveled me. And I think that Natalie did that in a way that was very believable. Her eyes were red. It was just a great performance. So that's my favorite.
There were really a couple of wonderful moments by Portman. That one in particular, the scene that I wanted to highlight was during the funeral scene when they're putting Kennedy into the ground and they eventually fold up the flag as they do, and they hand that American flag to Jackie, and all of a sudden we start to get these rapid flashbacks of the assassination. Wow, what a powerful moment. And she's holding the American flag as she's getting that flag, and it's going back to the flashbacks of Dallas and her husband being assassinated. Trembling lip while I watched it.
Yeah, there was a lot of fantastic moments. One of them being where she finally decides that we are going to march, on the streets and have a parade.
That was a great moment.
That was badass. That was really great. And so being a part of the Cubs parade, I'm always going to bring it back to the Cubs. 5 million people, one of the largest gatherings of humans, where everyone's going nuts, losing their mind. And then the moment that's my favorite in this movie is when you finally see the casket going down and everyone's so silent. Mm-hmm. All these people gathered on the streets, and it's just so silent. There's the American flag draped and it's just so heavy. And it made me, shed a tear at that moment, realizing that, complete opposite of why people gathered and how somber it was. Yeah. So besides that, how about scenes that you guys had any trouble with? I know you guys are praising this film.
So the scene that I had the most trouble with in this movie was definitely the actual assassination. And don't get me wrong, I think that it was shot well and performed well and everything. It was viscerally shocking to actually see it done so explicitly and I'll just say gory.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary. In fact, it sort of took me out of the film and I found it to be a little exploitative and unnecessary.
I was actually shocked by the scene. I like how you say it was gory in a way.
His head gets blown off. I mean, we all have seen the Zapruder film at this point.
And we actually had a screener for this, so we watched it at home. I was by myself. I actually jumped out of the couch a little bit watching that particular scene.
You didn't
really
expect
got me.
them to show it in such
so
a manner.
close,
Yeah.
exactly, not in that manner. For me, if I had a worse scene, is those flashback scenes to the opening up of the White House. I think there was just too much of those. I liked when it first went back to that because it was notable, but you were mentioning that they went through the film, they went back to that particular scene
Right.
about 5, 6, 7 times,
Right.
and it was like
They
one
kept
or
drinking from the
twice
same
was
bowl.
enough for me.
Exactly.
There were like 3 or 4 times later on that I thought it was just a bit redundant.
Yeah, definitely. The moment where they got out of the plane in Dallas, so JFK is still alive. I felt they could have had some sort of, again, human moment where like she was royalty throughout this entire thing. I felt like they could have had a human relationship moment where they were husband and wife, you know, just bringing them back down to earth. But it was all about her and just her wonderment of all these cameras in her face. But he hadn't passed away at that point. He wasn't assassinated. So it was like, why is she like over, you know, like grandizing like this, getting off of the plane? It's like, calm down, you know. I felt like that was a little too, like, I wanted it to be interacting. I wanted to see him when he was alive interact with her, and that was a perfect moment, I felt. But I missed it. Do you guys have any movie influences that you would pick up on here?
Matt?
The Shining. I don't know why, but they sort of made the White House feel like the Overlook Hotel to me, and it just felt a little Kubrickian in general. So that's my influence.
I was
Maybe
still
it's the cinematography.
I was still going political and still going female, and I was going the Iron Lady. That
there
had
you go.
Meryl Streep, that had this like strong political figure, obviously going through difficult situations. So that's what I went with.
I will say Matt nailed it with The Shining, because I feel like, again, the Under the Skin soundtrack, that odd, you know, and this gorgeous, there's a scene where there's a piano player, there's some sort of small orchestra, and everybody on the other side watching them is dressed up beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
So there's JFK, Bobby Kennedy, and Natalie Portman. It's just amazing. So that's a perfect
If little
example.
John had been riding his trike down the West Wing hallway and found 2 twins at the end saying, "Play with me," I would not have been surprised.
Exactly, yeah. A one-word review to give Jackie, what would it be?
I sum it up with this: Portman. It's her show. I mean, what a performance!
Is it a bad joke to say number 1 with a bullet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
poor
bad
taste,
Poor
poor
taste.
taste.
Bad taste.
Okay.
Even on the Death Star.
Too
Matt.
soon, guys? Too
Yeah,
soon?
even on the Death Star.
All right. I would say riveting.
I was going to say wispy because it bothered me so much, but I'm going to change it to, because you guys have opened my eyes with what you have said. I'm going to say royalty because, again, I wish it was more human and down to earth sometimes, but she was royalty.
Nobody said Camelot. Once you see the movie, you'll get that one. Let's assign some grades to this one. I'm going 3.5 Jaws.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Why are you holding back that?
That's where I thought it. That's where I thought it fit. 3.5. I don't think it was a perfect 4 Jaw.
It's close though, but you know what? You've swayed me. I was going to go 4 on this, but I'll hold back that half jaw as well. 3.5.
I'm going to say 2.5 because of the editing. I felt like this could have been such a more stellar film if they spent time with these characters.
There you go. 2.5 from Elias, 3.5 from Matt and Rye on Jackie.
Any rogues in this film?
No rogues. But that is our topic this week, Matt. Here on the Death Star, as we get to another announcement. Holy cow. Hold on, listen to this.
Friendly reminder, if any escape pods are jettisoned and no life forms are detected, hold your fire. We're trying to save on lasers.
Oh, these guys and their announcements, huh, Matt?
Yeah, it's relentless.
It is. As we said, our top 5 this week is movie rogues. Jack Newell, you're getting us started this week. Did you have trouble coming up with the list? How did you go about it?
No trouble. I mean, I did have to go into my Fortress of Solitude and think, can I talk about the Fortress of Solitude on the Death
Please,
Star?
yes.
Yeah, I had to think about it a little bit, and I've actually got 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
One of my honorable mentions is actually like 5.
Okay. Well, we do honorables at the end, so you don't spoil anybody else's. So
Fair,
what do you
fair,
got
fair.
sitting at number 5?
So, film I loved growing up. He's some people would call him a low rent Indiana Jones, but I felt, I don't know if I don't want to get too far ahead, but I didn't want to go with Harrison Ford for any of mine because he's like every single character he plays, he's a rogue, and so. But I'm sure I bet you guys
May.
Maybe.
So I went with it's a great. I think it's a really great film, Romancing the Stone. I went with Michael Douglas.
Nice.
Honorable mention of mine.
Honorable
okay.
mention of mine.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's my number 5 right now.
Yeah, we brought up Romancing the Stone on something just recently. We go back only, I don't know, 3 months ago, and I talked about it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun movie.
Total
really
blast. Love that one.
And I don't consider him a low rent Indiana Jones at all.
Okay.
No.
That goes to Brendan Fraser.
That's actually where I thought he was going to go.
That is exactly where I thought.
I
he was
almost
gonna
did, because in high school I loved that movie.
go. Oh, as did I. The first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I was thrown off because he said this is, when I was growing up. So I'm picturing little kid, and then I thought, wait a minute, The Mummy, and we're about the same age.
Yeah.
So interesting. I'll swing it over to my number 5 here, Matt, because this may be on your list, and I want to make sure I spoil it for you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad I
like
get
to spoil.
I get the last word. This is great.
This is good. This one came out in 2014. Shockingly, it is from a comic book movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is from a comic book movie I liked, played by Chris Pratt.
Oh,
I'm
geez.
speaking of Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Way too low on your list.
This is what I'm always telling you. So if we're going to get to it later, I'll just leave it there. I loved
Okay.
Star-Lord, and I really loved Guardians of the Galaxy.
Leave it
Just
there.
that opening scene. So
Yeah.
All right. Here we go, guys. At number 5, I have a man with 3 different names. The Man in Black, also known as Wesley, also known as the Dread Pirate Roberts. I mean, if you don't love The Princess Bride, don't even talk to me. Just don't talk to me, because I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It is absolutely classic, absolutely timeless. You could watch it today, just as relevant as it was in the late 80s when it came out, early 90s, Jawbox. One of my favorite movies, and largely due to Cary Ells. Is that his name? How do you say his last name?
it is. Yeah.
And I love this guy. I really wanted more from him. Unfortunately, aside from Saw and a couple other appearances here and there, nothing else really stands out as much as Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah.
What a great rogue. I mean, it's all about his charisma and how he uses his wits to get out, but he's also an accomplished swordsman and other things. Just a great action adventure hero.
And not to keep on harping on this, but this is, again, why it comes back to that Nocturnal Animals that we reviewed last week. And you went on and on about how you couldn't get into the fiction within the fiction of the book. And yet you love The Princess Bride. Listen how you just talked about it right then. And you had no issue with it there. So I don't know what you're talking about with that argument.
Because in Princess Bride, I mean, let's not get into Nocturnal Animals too deeply, but in Princess Bride, it's tongue-in-cheek, okay? So and the story in Princess Bride's 100 times
it
better.
still bothers me.
No.
Yeah,
I felt nothing for those
fine.
characters.
We'll leave it right there. We're swinging it over to Jack. What do you got sitting at number 4?
Well, Man in Black, Carrie. Yeah, he was on my honorable mention. He's he's very, 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 very good. Number 4. I love this film. The film is In Bruges, and it's Roy. It's the Colin Farrell character. Have you? I don't know.
Oh, yes.
One of my
Okay,
favorites.
yeah.
Love this
Are you
movie.
fan? No fan?
I am a fan. He turned me on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's such. I mean, is he a rogue? I think so, because I was thinking about it. Yeah, and it's like the way he wins over the girl. He has rogue, and how he just punches that guy out. I mean, that's the classic rogue maneuver right there. It's great, and that film is outstanding. Again, trailers. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie and being like, "Oh, this movie's going to be terrible." And then I watched it, and I was like, "Man, it's one of the best movies of that year." I thought, and because of him.
He's a hitman, so definitely a rogue.
Absolutely, yeah. And just so sad, and there's just so much sadness and depth to that character in such a beautiful way. So yeah, he's my number 4.
I love the pick. I love In Bruges. Please, Jawheads. We've talked about it a few times on the Jaw. See it if you haven't. It's one of my favorites.
Agreed.
Yeah. Swings it over to my number 4. And my God, the way I'm going here, Matt, you would think we switched lists here, because I have another comic book movie at number 4.
Oh, no.
And this time I'm going female.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I don't have any females on mine.
And I'm going a thief turned sort of slash guy, sort of rogue. I'm speaking of Catwoman.
I toyed with putting Catwoman on my list
Not
as well.
on your list.
Not
huh?
on my list.
And the Catwoman I'm featuring here is the one that I like the most, and that is
There's really only one
Don't break our
correct
heart.
answer.
Don't break our heart.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway.
You son of a bitch. Really, what's wrong with you?
I like Anne Hathaway in Dark Knight Rises.
I do too. It's funny though. I actually was thinking it was either going to be Michelle Pfeiffer or Halle Berry. I didn't even remember that she was Catwoman, which is bad for you.
I love Halle Berry, but she is not Catwoman.
No.
It's really only Michelle Pfeiffer or Anne Hathaway, and really, it's Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, but the
Come on,
reason
dude.
why
have
I
you
like
seen Batman Returns recently? She's
I
inspired.
haven't. It's been a while, but the reason why I picked Anne Hathaway was I really do love the thief scene early on in The Dark Knight Rises, where I don't think you get that nearly as much with Michelle Pfeiffer.
No.
She's sort of like that crazy lunatic that's with all the cats, and it's too focused on the cats and not the idea that she's a thief that Anne Hathaway was.
Right.
And that's
Yeah, she's
why,
crazy. She's
especially
crazy.
if we're talking about rogues sort of slash thieves, here, thieves, I'm going
But
Anne
she is
Hathaway.
part of Batman's Rogue Gallery.
Gotcha.
So therefore, I think she's definitely a rogue.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Michelle Pfeiffer did it better. All right, so
That's so cool. I just cracked a beer open on the Death Star.
how about that?
Yeah, pretty nice.
That's the new Empire beer, right?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Empire 312.
Yep.
So at number 4, I got to represent the kids. You're picking all these comic book movies, but I'm going to a Disney animated film just recently out of the vault, Aladdin. Great rogue, right? He is actually tasked with going into, I forget what that cave they go into is called, like the Cave of Wonders, I believe.
Yeah.
And he has to find the lamp inside for Jafar, right? But along the way, he meets the flying carpet. He gets the lamp. He gets the genie, and it's one of the greatest rogues thieves stories of all time. Aladdin is pretty much one of the prototypical rogues, because it's an ancient story, and I love it. Aladdin.
Yeah, no doubt. Shocked that you want animation here.
And I think the Disney interpretation is very good. It's up there.
You a fan of Aladdin, Jack?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. I haven't seen it recently.
I've only seen it
Same.
one time.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Really? You've only
Just
seen it once? I
Just
mean,
once.
it's a classic Robin Williams performance, and I think like the soundtrack obviously is like out of this world. It's like a whole new world, really.
You could say that.
Ooh. All right, we're into our threes here. Jack, what do you got sitting there?
Oh, man. I'm kind of... Okay.
You're reorging as we go.
Can I do that? Is that against the
Sure,
rules?
man, it's your
Because I'm
list.
a guest. I can do that,
Yeah,
right?
You can do whatever you want.
It's not like we're going to go blow up a planet.
Could we even?
Yes, this battle station is fully operational.
It is.
Because it's like I've got more people than I have room for here. I'm gonna go with number 3 is gonna be Hannibal Lecter.
This one you'll have to explain a little.
But he's a rogue. I mean, he's charming as heck. I mean, he's a monster because he eats people, obviously, but he's very charming. And I'm thinking purely Silence of the Lambs. I don't really see the other films. I mean, they're whatever. I'm not thinking about those. And in Silence of the Lambs, he plays this great kind of like, he's charming and he's cultured and he's well spoken, and it's kind of like,
And he'll eat your liver with some fava beans.
he'll eat your liver. There's a way to watch that movie where it's like a weird love story between those two.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's how it goes. And obviously he's on the extreme side, but I don't know. I'm going with it.
I could go rogue on that. I never really think of him as a rogue.
How do we think of him as?
No, but you know what? Now that Jack sort of explained it, I agree with you. Yeah, because the rogue really, I mean, one of the defining characteristics is that charisma, the charm.
I mean, you love Hannibal Lecter.
Oh,
and you
instantly.
no doubt.
kind of loved it. Not even hate him, but just love to it's like whenever he's on screen, it's like with relish. It's just like, oh, this is great. I just really want to watch. It's like a Indiana Jones or Han Solo or any of these other rogues.
He's magnetic. I mean, the whole part where she's chasing down Buffalo Bill, while that was somewhat fascinating, I just like, what's Lecter doing? I want to get back to that story.
Yeah, totally.
But we were talking about, for instance, how this was in Jackie. It was the Natalie Portman show, and I love great performances, but there's nothing better in a movie where there's 2 great performances. And Jodie Foster was awesome, and so was Hannibal Lecter.
I think she won
Anthony
the Oscar
Hopkins.
for that.
They
did she?
both did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I always feel like he's the one that gets remembered. And
Right.
when you rewatch it, she's unbelievable. in
She
it.
is. A couple of those scenes, especially like that first time, second time that they're having the meeting, both of them, I mean, that's like some of the best right there.
Totally.
Back and forth between Foster and Hopkins is top notch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He was dating Glenn Close at the time. I believe it was Glenn Close. And because of his performance as Lecter, his girlfriend at the time broke up with him because after that, like, she couldn't look at him.
Yeah.
So that says what kind of performance that
That's
was.
how good it was.
That's awesome. Swings it over to my number 3, and I also have sort of a charming bad guy here. He's a thief, charming, and I'm going way back to an Alfred Hitchcock film. This one came out in 1955. All right, and I caught up with this one, and a total rogue. I'm speaking of John Robbie, a.k.a. The Cat, played by Cary Grant in To Catch a Thief.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly a rogue.
That's good.
And here you have the cat, John Robbie, who is this famed jewel thief who is out in the French Riviera when jewels start to go missing.
He's another prototypical thief.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody assumes, oh, he's back on the prowl, quotes here, air quotes. He's back out on the prowl and he's stealing these jewels. He realizes that it's not him, and the only way to prove his innocence is to catch the actual jewel thief. Grace Kelly, also in this film, wonderful. It's charming. It's a little bit of a mystery in there. It's Alfred Hitchcock. It's Cary Grant. It's if you haven't seen it, it's I think more or less a must watch. I would say.
Oh yeah, mandatory.
Yeah, I would say.
All of Hitchcock. Really.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong except
Yeah.
for that one.
Just that one.
Just the one.
I'll let the send that to the jaw. Or
Yeah.
whatever. Let them decide which is the one to miss.
So that was my number 3, To Catch a Thief, John Robbie.
At number 3, here's where I have Star-Lord.
Okay.
Okay, not that far off.
Where'd
two
you have
numbers.
him?
I'm at 5.
Yeah, he's a
5
number
to
3. He's a
Well,
number
who cares?
3.
He's a 5 or a 3.
He's the top of the list, man. He's not the bottom of the list.
Yeah, 5 is just you're happy to just be there. That's the.
Yeah.
That's where Star-Lord belongs.
No, Star-Lord, I think, I mean, really, this is the role for Chris Pratt. It definitely catapulted him into the popular conscience. Before that, he was a nobody. Really, I mean, he had some TV roles, I think, right?
Well, he was in Moneyball. He was one of the baseball players.
He was?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember him
But
in Moneyball.
it wasn't a starring role. It was just
Yeah.
like, he was one of the baseball players. He had somewhat of a role, but it wasn't like, oh, that's Chris Pratt.
He's
It's
in
one of those
Zero
when you
Dark
go
Theater
back.
32.
That's like when
Right,
people say
he was-
Jackie Earle Haley was in the Bad News Bears.
Right.
No, this was right before. It was like a year before. Throw it in the jaw box. When Moneyball came
it's-
out compared to when Guardians of the Galaxy, we're talking a year or two apart.
It's like 2013 that Moneyball came out. Anyway, Star-Lord is amazing.
It's 2014 when Guardians of the Galaxy. What-
And he's after Star-Lord, after Guardians of the Galaxy, we realized, yeah, this guy could play the next Indiana Jones. So Absolute Rogue suits him perfectly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, just the opening scene of him trying to steal the orb, I think sold us all on him being a rogue and somebody that you were just going to like.
Yeah,
So, nice.
totally.
So we're into our 2s. What do you got sitting there, Jack?
He appears a couple times. He's in more than one film as the main character. I don't
Oh,
know.
boy.
I think that's true. Maybe he's not the lead character in one of them. Made famous by one of the world's most famous actors, a guy named Clint Eastwood. So I'm going with
Man with No Name.
Man with No Name from the spaghetti westerns.
Yes.
Is that on
Total
yours?
rogue. No, honorable mention of mine.
Yeah. He's it's great. I mean, it's kind of, again, I would probably say what were you saying, prototypical rogue, or I think he's just doesn't say much. He's almost not charming enough, but he's charismatic.
Oh, Clint Eastwood, of course he's
Yeah.
charismatic. Yeah.
So yeah, and then that's so. I guess it goes without saying.
But he's charismatic in a Western sort of way, right?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't speak. I think that one of the movies he only has like 1 or 2 lines.
I think the second one he barely speaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
And it's great. And he's so good, and he does it all with his eyes and his his little eyes.
Yeah.
His mannerisms. Yeah.
The reason why I didn't put him on my list, I haven't seen them all. I think there's 3 or 4 that he was
There's
technically 3 that he was in. I think
Fistful
I'm
of
missing
dollars,
one of them.
a few dollars more.
I'm missing that one. A few dollars more. And the good, bad, the ugly. Yeah.
A few dollars more is fine.
I'm missing that
Good,
one.
the Bad, and the Ugly is really my favorite.
Yeah, they're all basically the exact same movie.
Yeah. That's how the Western is.
Yeah, which
Especially back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice pick at number 2. Swings it over to mine. And at number 2, boy, oh boy, I very seldom, honestly, pick Johnny Depp for anything. Not one of my favorite actors. Some people love him, but I usually do not go that high on Johnny Depp. But when you're talking rogue and you're talking pirates, which most pirates are rogues at the time, and I'm not counting all of them because I didn't even see all of the pirates.
See, like Captain Hook, not a rogue.
But the first time you saw Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, it was pretty fantastic.
Definitely a rogue.
I remember this was one I rented, and obviously this was like the movie of the year. Everybody was seeing it. It was big at the box office. I just couldn't take myself. And everybody kept saying how what a wonderful performance it was, and it suited Johnny Depp just perfectly. And I finally rented it, and I had that like hard shell about me, like I'm not going to like it. And I watched it, and I just, yeah, I can see why everybody's talking about it. This is just like perfect role for Johnny Depp. I mean, just rambling on, and his look in the movie was fantastic. It was actually a wonderful story for, like a modern day pirate story. It really worked. I can't vouch for the rest of them. I think I did see the second one, didn't really like it, and I don't think I ever saw the other 2.
Let it be known that Ryan had 2 comic book movies and Pirates of the Caribbean on his list this week.
This is interesting.
Yeah. But
It's like
it's like
Freaky Friday.
Freaky
over.
Friday, yeah.
All right. Matt, what do you got there?
At number 2, I have Bond. James Bond.
Oh.
I guess he's rogue.
He is a rogue, right? I mean,
Well,
like,
by your definition, he's a hitman. So, like, if you're killing other humans, yeah, you're not.
he kills, and it's all about that charisma of his, which is completely maxed out. He uses his charisma over brute force at all ends. I mean, like,
Yeah.
he also doesn't take the direct route. He uses his gadgets and strategies to get around going head on into danger, like a Rambo or a Arnold Schwarzenegger with a gun.
Right.
That's not Bond's style. So I think he's absolutely a rogue. And when you're talking about any list that James Bond would qualify for, he has to be near the top.
Sure.
So there you go.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. This is it, man. We are at our number ones. Jack, you're starting us off. Your favorite movie, Rogue.
Favorite movie, Rogue. Very similar to your thinking here. My Rogue, he's the most probably seen character in the history of anything, Sherlock Holmes.
Who do you like as Sherlock Holmes, though? Do you go your Robert Downey Jr., or who's your Sherlock?
I do not. Okay. I don't like those.
Neither do I.
Yeah. I think the best one is the BBC ones, but I know we're straight movies, and so there's 2 films. One is the 7% Solution, and the other one is the Private Life of Sherlock Holmes.
Haven't seen either of those.
They're both real good. One is Christopher Lee plays Sherlock Holmes, and the other one is a guy whose name I'm not remembering.
Throw in the jaw box.
Yeah, I don't remember his name right now.
Who played Sherlock Holmes?
But one of them is like when Sherlock Holmes meets Sigmund Freud, and they and Alan Arkin is Sigmund Freud. It's weird.
Nice.
That sounds weird.
And they kind of team up and do this thing. But I mean, he's classic rogue. I mean, your definition I could just basically put on to this. He's crafty. He always thinks about the way around. He's charming, but he's a total jerk, like just an absolute ass to people. And so yeah, he's my number one. I had to. He was there, and then I took him away, and then I put him back.
And you know what? I actually, since we're talking about Sherlock Holmes, I can sort of state my displeasure with the current Sherlock Holmes. I don't like the Robert Downey Jr. ones at all. I don't know. The Guy Ritchie directing with that slow-mo action that appears in them. I don't like Jude Law's relationship with them. It comes off as almost corny compared to the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I'm thoroughly disappointed with the Sherlock Holmes movies.
I don't think anyone likes him. Does anyone like him?
Somehow they make money.
Oh,
yeah.
Not you.
No, not me. But there are people like dedicated Holmes fans that are all about it.
I've got to be honest. I haven't seen him. I'm not a huge Guy Ritchie fan, so I'm not like lining up to watch that.
I just thought it was a wasted opportunity to have like a classic character brought up with, in modern times.
There's a recent Holmes movie with Ian McKellen, I want to say.
Oh yeah, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, where he's at the end of his career and he's since retired. Watson is dead, but he comes out of retirement for one last case.
And I think
I haven't seen it, but I think
it's streaming. Throw that in the jaw box. Also, we're filling him up here on the Death Star. Is Mr. Holmes streaming?
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's great. I mean, he is Batman, or Batman is Sherlock Holmes. I mean, Batman is basically Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. He has more gadgets and stuff. But I think that's the problem with the Guy Ritchie ones is they gave him more like, toys or whatever.
Yeah.
They made him a little more Batman-like.
Too Batman-like. And there's already Batman. I mean, we already have Batman now. So, yeah.
There you go. We swing it over to my number one. And I have to think me and Matt crossed over because we both sort of glanced when Jack said that he was not going to have the Man with the Whip and the Fandora on his list. He thought
we did not cross over.
Oh, okay. I am going there because I thought right away, movie Rogue. I think it just springs into everyone's head. The great Indiana Jones. And mainly for my Rogue, when you're talking Rogue, he really is Rogue in all of them. But he's
Fortune
Rogue,
and Glory Kid.
He's Rogue in Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think the most. I think when we first meet him.
Temple of Doom.
He's the most Rogue.
Yes, absolutely. He's going in for the money in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, but he's a little possessed also,
Yeah.
At that one point, yeah.
That is my favorite Indiana Jones movie, actually.
Temple of Doom?
Yeah, by far, actually.
Me and Matt have talked
too.
about this.
You too? Yeah,
Ours
I think it's
also. I think
outstanding.
it had something to do when we grew up. For me, that was like my Indiana Jones. Like it hit right at the right age.
Same here, 4 for 4.
Wow.
It's by far the most interesting one. It's like goes dark. There's some interesting tone stuff because it starts off so like weird and goofy, and then goes like really, really dark. But then it's great. It's a good action movie.
Yeah, I mean the opening scene when he's poisoned, he's got to get the
great.
antidote,
So good.
and the ice is all over the floor, and I mean what a wonderful
That
scene.
giant table rolling.
and
great.
the guns are shooting.
Yeah, it's
it's
great.
awesome.
And then he falls through the canopy into short rounds.
And they take it
come
off.
on.
Then there's a car chase. Yeah, I mean you can't open a movie much better than that.
No, you really can't.
The great Spielberg, talk about a guy. I mean, that's the one to do dinner with and eat chicken wings or whatever.
For sure.
But his comedy stuff is so good. Like I can't remember what he says, but he gets on the plane. And he's like, "See you later, Ching Mao or whatever."
And
I
then
can't
it's
remember.
his
And then
plane.
he closes the door, and it's the plane. It's just like those jokes are hilarious. Like, so good, such a great film.
So my number one. We don't
I'm
get
good with
to hit it over the head. Indiana Jones, my number one.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like seriously Freaky Friday here. This is crazy.
It is crazy, and I usually don't like to let Matt close things up here with his number one because he makes
you
an
don't
ass
like
out
to
of himself
let me,
through
Jesus.
and through. Yeah, that's it.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to make an ass out of myself.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to make your list look shitty by comparison because at number one, the ultimate rogue, in my opinion, but I think you'll all agree, is Robin Hood. And I'm throwing it all the way back to 1938, Errol Flynn, the original, arguably the original film. There's probably a silent film before that, but this is the iconic cinema. It's a tent pole on which all the rest of cinema is built, is Errol Flynn's performance of Robin Hood. It's classic.
Can't argue this. It's an honorable mention of mine is Robin Hood. Both mine. Oh, no, I have one other
He
one.
steals from the rich to give to the poor. He gets Maid Marian. I mean, it's perfect.
When I looked at your list, because when we were sitting here, when we were talking before, and I was like, I hate Matt right now because I didn't think of that. And I didn't want to cheat and put it on my list and make it seem like I had.
Thank you, Jack.
'cause that
I
is
appreciate that.
outstanding. My Robin Hood, though, is the Disney animated Robin Hood.
Mine also.
I love it as well.
The
It's a
Fox
guilty
is
pleasure.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He is. When he dresses up as the blind guy.
It's great. It's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that one. Must mention a terrible Robin Hood, Russell Crowe in Ridley Scott's last one. He, for some
What
reason,
a
decided,
stinker.
let's make him pudgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work.
What about Kevin Costner?
I don't even count it.
Really, you don't count it?
I've never
we
seen it, to be
rewatched
honest.
it.
I've never even seen it. I skipped
When
it.
I was a kid, we watched it all the time, but we rewatched it a months ago, and it's not good.
It's not.
It's got.
But it didn't.
Alan Rickman is fantastic as the sheriff of Nottingham.
Right, and did it not give us Morgan Freeman? I mean,
did.
it's really his breakout performance.
It is, yeah, and that's
what are you
that's
talking
good.
about? He was already in Driving Miss Daisy at that point.
Was he?
Yeah, throw it in the jaw box. Driving Miss Daisy came out before Robin Hood, I'm sure.
We are absolutely overloading him here.
I'm sure of it.
Whoa.
And he was nominated for an Academy Award in Driving Miss Daisy.
Okay,
So,
all right. Let's find out.
Yeah, Robin Hood's a real good. That's really good. That's kudos to you.
Weird, right?
Yeah,
this
very
is strange.
Very strange. Honorable mentions really quick. I had Robin Hood, already mentioned, and a guilty pleasure of mine, speaking of video games that no one brought up, Lara Croft in Tomb Raider. Sure. I guess the character is more of a rogue. Did she ever make a good movie? Maybe the first one. For some reason, I've sat down and actually watched it and was mildly entertained. I literally remember thinking, like, I'm just going to hate this movie. You know, I'm swirling my wine, if you will, Matt. You can picture me here. But
fire going.
Going, yeah. And I'm just wanting to hate it. And I thought, not a bad movie, 2.5 Jaws. So, Lara Croft.
Yeah, and Angelina Jolie's not hard on the eyes. Let's be honest. Rick O'Connell, we mentioned. Loki, I think, is worth mentioning. Bilbo Baggins is the only one that hasn't been mentioned.
Really? Because he's a thief by...
He's a burglar, right? He's a rogue.
Yeah.
He's a thief.
That's interesting. I was trying to think of Lord of the Rings character.
I think really all the hobbits could be said to be rogues in a sense.
All hobbits are thieves.
Kind of.
Isn't even Strider somewhat of a...
He almost came on my
The
list.
Ranger?
Yeah, because he's a rogue, yeah.
I would say he is a rogue.
He is a rogue.
The only other one I had was, Man in Black / Inigo Montoya. They're both rogues, I would say.
You think Inigo could be a rogue?
Yeah, he's a kidnapper. He's
This is
charming.
true. He is charming. All right.
He's no Man in Black, though.
Yeah, I like it. Now, if we missed your favorite movie, Rogue, please shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We will retweet it and get the discussion going. That reminds me, Matt, we have some feedback. In addition to everything we threw in the jaw box, some feedback came on the last couple episodes that we want to get to as well. We'll be right back on Cinemajaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
Cinemajaw is brought to you by K&N Air Filters.
Matt, I heard that the X-Wing uses K&N air filters.
Well, that's a fact, Elias. All models of the X-Wing actually use the K&N air filter.
No way.
In fact, the entire Rebel Alliance uses the K&N air filters in all of their spaceships.
Is that why their performance is so pristine?
It is, and that's really how they get to ultimately defeat the Empire.
And the cool thing, too, is all the X-Wing pilots get free hats of K&N.
So use the Force, go to knnairfilters.com/podcast, and you too can have better performance and a free K&N hat. And we thank them for their support.
Go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out on the Death Star, Matt. I love our stay here. I don't want to leave.
Yeah, I just like that this podcast has taken us to new and exciting places.
It is. I mean, this is one of the better places we've ever recorded.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a galaxy far, far away. So.
Yeah, I can't believe they have a disco ball here. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
Well, they'd like to party here on the Death Star.
I guess so. Now we're sitting here with Jack Newell. One thing, I mean, we brought up your film career and the movies that you've worked on, but another interesting project, and I think this will really lend its ears to Chicagoans who have been down here, is this wonderful light project called the Wabash Lights. And one of the interesting things is, Matt and me were talking about this when we knew you were coming back on. I had saw like a special on, I think, one of the television programs, the news, or maybe I read an article about it, and I was so intrigued. And I know you from being on Cinemajaw and had no idea that you were involved with it. And he was like, yeah, that's Jack's project. So tell us a little bit about the Wabash Lights, because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's like my superhero side, the like thing I do at night sort of thing. It's the passion project. It's something we've been working on for 5 years now. And it's an interactive light installation on the underside of the Wabash L tracks in Chicago's Loop. And the idea is it's not just putting lights on the track. And so they're LED lights. We're shooting to put up 2 blocks, but it's not just lights on tracks. The idea is that we're creating an app so that anyone in the world can actually design the lights. So you could design what the lights do. And so we did a Kickstarter last summer that was successful. We raised like $60,000, and with that we installed 12 feet of light, which are currently installed on Wabash just outside the Palmer House Hilton, so now just south of Monroe and north of Adams. And we did that to try and just understand, like, weather and vibrations, and did the technology hold up? And that was all successful. And then late November, a couple weeks ago, we started another Kickstarter to try and raise money for the final installation. And so when this podcast happens, we have just a few days left. So if people are listening, I will ask, check out the Kickstarter. It's on, you can go to the wabashlights.com. That'll take you to Kickstarter, or just go to Kickstarter and search Wabash Lights. And it's pretty cool. Like, we've already started. We got a donation from Comcast as our kind of first technology sponsor, and we've started it. So we've got a way so that you can text a certain number, a phone number, blue, and the lights change blue, and then red and green or whatever. So we already have figured out how to do how to make your phone change the lights. And we're also doing
so cool.
I think it's super cool. Yeah. And the other thing we're doing is, like, do you guys remember that game Simon?
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're doing that. So the Wabash Lights essentially will be...
Remember nothing. My kid still plays with it.
Yeah, it's whenever I say that, people are like, yeah, I played it yesterday, yeah. So for those people who don't know what we're talking about, or it's like Simon flashes green, and then you have to respond by hitting green, and then it flashes green and red, and you have to respond by hitting green and red, and then it says...
Oh, no
more
way.
complex. But there's a twist in that. So the Wabash Lights will do patterns, but we all could play. It actually could be up to like a 200, 300, 400,000 people multiplayer game where you're all playing until the Wabash Lights beats you, essentially, because you will always lose. Like, you can't beat Simon or this version of it, but it'll essentially be like the last man standing, like who's the last one. So it's it's like a cooperative game with like 100 or however many people you can collect.
And will there be leaderboards and scores?
Yeah, leaderboards and scores and all that stuff. And
wow. Maybe even like prizes and stuff?
Yeah, sure. Prizes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's so cool.
The idea is that, and this is all stuff we're kind of prototyping out, and so it's all very basic right now, but the idea is to create this app and allow people to make it open source, and to allow people to kind of design their own ways that they could interact with the lights and come up with other cool ways. And the idea is that it's a piece of public art that is kind of for the public, by the public. I mean, the idea was that we would see, most public art, in like 99% of public art, when I say most of public art, is essentially like one or two people or a committee decides, hey, we want to put a piece of public art here, and they commission a single artist, and usually it's a world famous artist, and they make that a Picasso, for example, or Anish Kapoor with Cloudgate, or the Bean in Millennium Park, or Calder, who's a world famous sculptor, or like any of these new folks who are doing great work. There's nothing bad about the work they're doing, but this is kind of like a different way to look at public art, which is that the Wabash Lights is... Sorry.
You've made the public the artist, in a sense.
Exactly. So we always say, like, we're putting the public in public art. So it's like essentially we kind of see the Wabash Lights as a canvas, or like a musical instrument that we're inviting other people to play. Because what becomes cool is to look at something and be like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. Just you come across, when you're in the city, sometimes you walk across, you find a piece of public art or whatever. You're like, wow, that's beautiful. It's really nice. But then the story gets richer when you find out that like, oh, that person over there actually designed that, or some girl in Shanghai designed it, or my niece in Cleveland, Ohio designed that. Like it just gets way more interesting. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now, and we've got city approval, we have mayoral approval with CDOT and CTA approval. We've got all the approvals. Now we just have to raise the money.
Awesome.
So yeah,
definitely.
That's the project.
That's awesome.
If there's a project to give to, please give to the Wabash Lights, because like I say, when I saw the project, I was like totally full on board. I thought it was so cool because I love the city just sort of taking on this like sort of new form of art, and they were talking, for instance, I think the story I saw was they also opened it up to artists on how to maybe do something different with the Chicago River landscape with lights and such. And then they were talking about like the Wabash Lights in this thing, and I was like, oh, and I had no idea you were behind it. So pretty pumped.
Yeah, and the Kickstarter is really cool because right now we're selling pixels, so you can buy a pixel, naming rights to a pixel or a full light. So if you want to like actually own a piece of this piece of public art, you can do that.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
go on
Awesome.
Kickstarter.
I'm getting on Kickstarter tonight.
Yeah,
Man.
and,
Awesome.
and for the people listening to this that aren't in Chicago, since people listen everywhere, Wabash it's a very famous street. I mean, it's beautiful looking already. You can sort of see the Trump Tower in some of the shots, and I don't know. There's something about Wabash that I love.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Trump Tower.
No, maybe not the Trump Tower.
Of all the things.
Yeah.
Wabash
but it is there.
It's fascinating because it's between State Street, historic State Street, where you do shopping, and
that
then
great street.
That great street.
And before you get to the public parks.
Yeah, and then before Michigan, and Michigan's got a lot of great cultural institutions, and Wabash is this kind of it's a weird. It's like the quintessential Chicago street because it's gritty and hardworking, and people love it, but also kind of like don't want to love it because it's noisy and dark and kind
under
of gross.
the L tracks.
Yeah, it's under the L
makes
tracks.
it so cool.
Which is that was the kind of, I think that's where that's why it makes sense there. So it's this kind of perfect like underdog-y kind of street within Chicago.
All right, so check out that Kickstarter, and one more time for people that want to check out your films or follow you on Twitter, all the best places to do so online.
Yeah, at Jack C. Newell on Twitter and Instagram, and www.jackcnewell.com.
Do it, jawheads. Matt, before we get to trivia, before we get to CinemaWAR, we did throw a few items into the jaw box.
Just a couple to a tree.
And Elias wants to get out of that jaw box and explore the Death Star with us. So let's open up that jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
We got a box! What's in the box?
What's going on, fellas? You were talking about that great art project that Jack is involved with. And I have to say, I really love the interior design here in the Death Star. It's like very simplified, old school, kind of reminds me of late 70s, like even their outfits are, it could be futuristic, but it's, simplified.
Retro futuristic.
Yes, exactly.
I agree. Yeah, they got a nice thing going on here.
Love it.
Yeah, I love that bridge that they had going across. Controls were a little tough to get over to the room that we're in, but we eventually did get across. We
We'll use our grapple.
Didn't have to swing across on this time.
I
we
helped
could
you.
have. Yeah.
So, bunch of questions. Let's just jump right in. So, is the Chinese actor in Rogue One Ip Man? I've never seen that film. Yes, it is. Donnie Yen.
He's awesome. That movie is awesome. I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Looking forward
One
to
of the
that.
best kung fu movies I've seen, or martial arts movies, I should say, in decades.
Sweet. That's a Q-tip for me. Let's see. Which one came out first? Moneyball or Guardians? Or what years did they come out? Moneyball was 2011. Guardians was 2014.
Oh, so there was
Not
a
as
3-year
close,
gap.
yeah.
I thought about like a year apart, but okay, there were 3 years before.
Nobody
Chris Pratt.
remembers Chris Pratt in Moneyball.
I agree.
So I'm going to need Jack's assistant on this one. Who played Sherlock Holmes? We have a bunch of answers here. So
So in Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, directed by Billy Wilder, it's a guy named Robert Stevens, who none of us know who that is. And Christopher Lee played Mycroft, which is great. And then the other film, which is 7% Solution, has a really good cast. The guy who plays Sherlock Holmes was called the greatest actor of all time, but we've never heard of him. His name is Nicol Williamson.
wow.
And he played Merlin in Excalibur. Do you guys ever see that? Excalibur?
Oh, love Excalibur.
He's Merlin.
Okay.
But Robert Duvall plays Dr. Watson, which is pretty cool. And then Alan Arkin plays Sigmund Freud. So kind of a...
Wow.
Yeah, it's a nutty movie. Yeah.
Gotta see that one.
It's on Netflix if you do the DVD thing still.
Okay.
Which I do.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Thanks for the assistance. It's hard to get a signal here on the Death Star, but we both,
Their Wi-Fi is terrible. I realized it.
That is the one drawback.
Yeah.
Their Wi-Fi just sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
no
just
doubt.
really far away from the source.
Yeah, I was in the cafeteria. I got nothing.
Yeah. Is Mr. Holmes streaming? Yes, it is on Prime.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely one I want to check out.
I do. The idea of seeing, Sherlock Holmes at the end of his career is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
His
like the
last
idea.
adventure, yeah.
Yep.
So another one, Robin Hood and Driving Miss Daisy. Which one came out first? 1991 was Robin Hood. 1989 was Driving
right.
Miss Daisy. So
Whew, a little tension there because I thought I was right.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would still say while Driving Miss Daisy was his breakout, Robin Hood cemented him in our in pop
All
culture.
right. Now you corrected yourself.
Yes.
Well done, Matthew.
yes, so that's it for the questions, but we do have feedback.
All right.
Yes, this one was an email, came from Anthony Oxen. He said, hello from a more recent Jawhead. I have not been listening to the podcast very long, but it only took me an episode to get hooked. On episode 302, there were 2 comments I had to speak out on. 1, Chris Tucker's best role, Dead President. 2, Enemy Mine is a fantastic film that is vastly underrated. It is a product of its time. It's dated, but it's an awesome film.
That was your pick, Matt.
Yes, it was. Thank you, sir. Thank you for vindicating me.
Wow.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, very nice. I have not seen Enemy
Jack,
Mine.
have you ever seen Enemy Mine?
No, I've never seen that. But Chris Tucker's best movie is
I said
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element?
That's what we had said.
Ruby
I
Rod.
had said, you said Friday. I said Fifth Element.
No. The movie we were discussing on the show was Fifth Element, and I said it was Fifth Element. If there was anything else for me, it would have been Friday, but I didn't say
You
Dead
said
President.
Enemy Mine.
I probably said
No,
Rush
no,
Hour.
no.
Enemy Mine's way before.
Yeah,
That was
it
Louis
was
Gossett
something else.
Jr.
Yeah, that
Is
was
it any
something
good?
else.
Enemy Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm writing it down right now.
Nice.
It's a
Thank you.
sci-fi movie. You'll enjoy it.
Thank you for your feedback, Anthony.
Yeah. Sticking with the feedback, me and Matt got in an argument on just the last episode, episode 304. We were talking about nocturnal animals, and we got going. It was sort of heated, and we heard from some jawheads via Twitter. The first one up here is from Brad Wysocki. I hope I'm saying his name correctly.
I think you are.
Wysocki. He says, Cinemajaw, love when Rye the Movie Guy got fed up with Matt Kabinski and called him an ass bag. Thanks for the constant great entertainment. Thanks, Brad, for listening.
He clearly likes the Chicago insults like jag. Yeah, Ricardo Deacon actually replied to that and say, nothing tickles me more than a passionate fight over films. I was expecting to hear plates smashing at any second.
Nice. And then also in regards to that episode, besides Nocturnal Animals, we also did our top 5 movies based in L.A. And Anthony Wilson chimed in via Twitter, said, at Cinemajaw, how didn't Heat make anyone's top 5 lists? Hashtag Heat, hashtag crime, hashtag classic.
I agree. I love Heat. Great movie.
Hashtag EZ for Jaw film.
Probably that's accurate. I think
that was a miss. Thank you for calling that out. I think that was a miss.
Yeah. Speaking of heat, I wish we could get some in the Death Star here. It is freezing. Editor Phil is wrapped up in a blanket.
Poor Phil.
Not kidding.
Space is cold.
Yeah.
That was
again,
an episode 1 reference.
We
guys.
love the feedback, so keep it coming via email, feedback@cinemajaw.com, and also on Twitter @cinemajaw. So we will read it. That everything, Elias?
That's all.
Get back in that jaw box.
Thank you.
Matt, it brings us to another announcement.
Oh my God!
I can't believe this Death Star. Now this is actually getting annoying at this point.
Reminder that after Thursday's mixer featuring the Max Rebo Band, there will be a tractor beam drill. Don't be alarmed by any odd noises if patrolling the tractor beam area.
They got a point there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad.
Can't argue with that.
No, absolutely. Matt, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt battle on a topic. Our guest, Jack, he gets to play judge, jury, and executioner and tell the jawheads at home who he thinks won the CinemaWAR. It's important. Let's be honest here, Matt. As Joe Avella pointed out, we're fighting for 20 seconds of jaw time to
these 2 hours,
to rant and rave on whatever we want. And we just got talking about droids in Star Wars. Heck, Elias, tell the jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic: has BB-8 replaced R2-D2 as a fan favorite droid in a galaxy far, far away, or is R2-D2 still the most beloved droid around? Nat, you'll be fighting for a BB-8 is already the new favorite droid. Rye, you'll be fighting R2-D2 is still the most beloved robot. Let this robotic CinemaWAR begin.
Matt, come on here. BB-8, the little orange ball that was invented to look cute and become the new droid for the new cast of Star Wars, a droid that was clearly modeled after R2-D2, a droid that has appeared in one film. BB-8 better than R2? Matt, you have a bad power converter.
Rye, you are that one friend that everyone has who is a flip phone holdout. You cling to the old and familiar like a child clings to a blankie. Perhaps it's insecurity or fear of something strange and new that prevents you from admitting when something new is better. BB-8 is the better character. I felt more sympathy for him in 90 minutes than I did in 40 years of Star Wars for R2.
Matt, you come on, you can't be serious here. After rewatching the first Star Wars films, one can argue there is no one more important than R2-D2 in the entire series. He carried the stolen Death Star plans, rode with Luke on the X-Wing to blow it up, fixed the hyperdrive on the Falcon, shot Luke's green badass lightsaber into the air on Jabba's barge. Resume alone, I win this one, buddy.
So you're saying he's a repairman, a suitcase, and a lightsaber launcher.
He pretty much does it all, yeah.
Yeah, R2 is an icon. He is. But you know what he's not? An emoji. You know who is an emoji? BB-8. And I'm sorry, old man, but if you want to be relevant to a new generation of Star Wars fans, clean off the rust and get some balls.
Okay, you just brought up emoji in Star Wars. You lose, buddy.
No, I don't think so.
No, you lose.
Hashtag
no.
I win.
Oh, terrible. Yes, BB-8 is popular with the new generation of kids, Matt, but even in the new film, it's clear here. BB-8 is carrying a map to Luke Skywalker, okay, which you think is cool and all, but then at the end, when the two droids are working together to piece it all up, it becomes clear. R2-D2 has about 95% of the map in him. R2, we trust. Luke trusts him. The audience trusts him. Come on, buddy.
R2 is sleeping on the job. Let's talk important moments in the movies here. R2 has his little booster jet moment, which is a glaring continuity flaw in episode 2. But that wasn't enough to save that crappy film. Meanwhile, BB-8's thumbs up torch scene stole the show. Stole the show from the human
give it
counterparts.
A few years.
You were smiling ear to ear. Admit it.
Admit it. Ridiculous.
Admit it. R2 was always there, but he never stole the show. He's also ran, or should I say, clunked.
That light, I'm telling you, Matt, give it 5 years. We're going to all look back and think that was ridiculous.
No.
Never before and never again, Matt, will a droid who does not talk but only beeps and whistles, does not have a face, just a round dome, have more personality than R2-D2. He is the robot all others look up to. Cool under pressure, not afraid to run away and find Obi-Wan. BB-8 is just a watered-down wannabe, buddy.
Face it, Ryan, the astromech droid has evolved past the old R2 units. BB-8 is a character I am actually excited to see on the screen again. The blue trash can is cool and all, I guess, but I wouldn't say I'm excited to see him in action. You can keep your force puns, but it's time to retire the R2 underoos and get with the times.
We are button heads here on CinemaWAR, as we do each and every week. We throw to our guest, our jury. Jack, what did you think of this CinemaWAR?
So give me the prompt one more time so I can just make sure I'm answering it in the correct way. It's who is the better character?
Who argued it better, I suppose.
Who argued it better?
Yes, but yes, the question is who...
The question, technically, Elias, read the question one more time.
Right. It was, has BB-8 replaced R2-D2 as fan favorite?
Okay, so that's... I just want to ask, because it's good. You guys are both equally matched. It's very difficult because growing up with Star Wars and all that, R2 clearly is the choice, but then 1, 2, 3 episodes, I mean, they make him too. It kind of screws him up. And BB-8 definitely did a lot in very short screen time, so I'm going to kick myself for saying this, but I have to go that BB-8 has indeed surpassed.
This is terrible.
I have redeemed the horrible loss. Can you? The last time was maybe not the last time. I once had to argue that Han Solo was cooler than Luke Skywalker, right?
This is terrible.
Who wins?
This is-
Lost? I lost.
This is one of the
He
worst
won.
days of my life.
We had a reputed.
This is.
We had a reputed.
Go on and talk all you want, Matt. You jackass.
We had a
This
reputed
is-
Star Wars expert on. You know what? That's what I'm going to use my 20 seconds of time on here.
Listen to that old guy in a cloak back there telling us to keep our voice down. I'm not keeping my voice down on the Death Star.
Who is that old guy?
I have no idea. He's got a
been
wrinkled face.
He's been staring at me the whole time. I kind of feel like I'm being choked.
He's got static electricity. He's like, he walked across the carpet.
Get some fabric softener in your dryer, pal. Anyway, yes. Luke Skywalker is a cool character by Return of the Jedi, but when you're putting two characters side by side, no way is Luke cooler than Han Solo. I'm sorry, Chris Mocked, but get your head out of your ass if you want to call yourself a Star Wars documentarian. Han Solo is cooler.
I mean, it's just, who do you take to the bar on Friday night?
Han Solo.
Luke Skywalker, no doubt.
What? I was actually thinking about this the other day with Force Awakens. It's like no one was looking for more Luke Skywalker.
No.
Like everyone wanted more Darth Vader, but no one was like, where is there more Luke Skywalker? And that's the guy who we're going to spend the next 3 movies with, or next 2 movies with. And it's kind of just like, great.
Now I'm actually wanting more Luke Skywalker.
You are?
And,
Okay.
yes, he's redeemed himself, as have I. Can't believe I won that. Yes.
BB-8. That
I really love
torches.
BB-8. I love him
actually,
even more.
Yeah. I think, yeah. He won.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
This is
Sorry, Ryan.
this is going to be a tough trivia now. All right.
He's going to give me all the hard questions on purpose.
Now, in honor of Collateral Beauty, where Will Smith is starring in, we are playing beauty movie trivia. Think of films with the word beauty or beautiful in the title. Jack, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on a question, Elias, our engineer, has clues to all the questions. You get 1 trip to the ER.
I will go first.
Question 1 over to Jack Newell. Jack, Kevin Spacey starred in the film that won Best Picture Oscar in 1999. Name it.
I was expecting this one. American Beauty.
Start them off easy.
Pretty much the only one that popped into my mind.
Yeah, me too. So
wait a minute
I was hoping it
for
came up.
question 2, because they're always start off easy for everybody. Robert Benigni won Best Actor Oscar for this film that also won Best Foreign Film in 1997. Name it.
Beautiful Life. It's a Beautiful Life.
Oh, no.
Wait. Life is Beautiful.
Wow, should have buzzed him right
Wow,
away.
yeah.
Especially
Yep.
especially after that CinemaWAR. I should have buzzed him
We're
right
gonna
away.
give him a
Thank you,
second
thank you.
chance on this Death
Wow.
Star.
Unbelievable. 1-1. Question 3 now bounces back over to Jack. In 1991, this legendary actress voiced a teapot, Mrs. Potts, in the animated version Beauty and the Beast. Name her.
Oh, God. I'm just going to go with what I'm thinking. I think it's Angela Lansbury. Oh, all right. Good.
Nice call right there. 2-1.
Was that
Jack.
a Murder, She Wrote clue, Elias?
What was the clue on that one?
The clue was, I think she wrote a murder.
Question 4 now, Matt, is...
I jaw that coming.
You did.
Matt, question 4. Queen Latifah, Alicia Silverstone, and Kevin Bacon teamed up for this 2005 comedy about a hairstylist. Name the movie.
Is it? I want to say it was like the girl power version of Barbershop. Was it? I almost want to say Beauty Parlor, but that's probably wrong. Was it Beauty Shop?
There you go.
Wow,
Well
good
done, Matthew.
pull.
Well done. Yeah, Beauty Shop it was. Everybody perfect here, 2-2. You can cut the tension
My
on the
mom
Death
always
Star.
called it the Beauty Parlor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can cut the tension on the Death Star with a knife. It's almost like there's
With a lightsaber?
There's almost like there's X-wings in the trench. All right, question 5 over to Jack. Russell Crowe played John Nash in the film A Beautiful Mind.
Oh.
Who played his wife in the movie Alicia Nash?
Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth.
She is
Wow.
amazing. I love
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, she's great.
3-2. 3-2. Matt, keep it perfect here. Question 6. Name the 1996 film that starred Matt Dillon, Natalie Portman, Rosie O'Donnell, and Uma Thurman.
her. Beautiful Girls.
Wow.
Wow.
I would not have gotten that.
Everybody perfect. This is awesome. Through 6, it is 3-3. Question 7 now bounces back over to Jack. Name the 2013 American romantic gothic fantasy film based on the novel of the same name that starred Jeremy Irons, Emma Thompson, and Viola Davis. 2013 romantic gothic fantasy film. Jeremy Irons, Emma Thompson, Viola Davis. You do have a trip to the ER if you need it.
And what question number is this?
Question 7.
So last two, might as well.
I'll take the hint, definitely.
Whoa, trip to the ER. Question number 7. Elias Rodriguez, what was the name of that 2013 film?
Your clue is BC does not stand for before Christ here. BC.
We were playing beautiful movie trivia or beauty movie trivia. Jack thinking, looking out the window into outer space.
Yeah.
At the moon of Endor.
There's like a lot of ships headed our way right now. I don't know if
It looks sort of
they
scary
don't look
out
like
there.
TIE fighters.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, let's just continue. The only name that comes to mind, but it's a total shot in the dark. So if I get it, I don't. It's almost like when you hit a pool ball and you didn't mean to hit it, and is Beautiful Creatures. That's the best I got. Okay,
That's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't know it either. Yeah.
Wow. Jack goes perfect here. 4-3 right now. Matt, you can go perfect also and tie it up or drop a turd. Here we go. Question number 8. Matt, name the 1996 film that starred Liv Tyler, Ralph Fiennes, Jeremy Irons, and Rachel Weisz. It was about an American girl going to live with friends in Italy after her mother committed suicide.
I would like a trip to the ER.
Whoa, back-to-back trips to the ER. Elias Rodriguez, what was the name of that 1996 Liv Tyler film?
Your clue is taking someone's beauty away without them knowing. Taking someone's beauty away without them knowing.
What?
Can he tie it up?
That is the worst clue ever.
If you
Liv
only-
Tyler in 1996, she was still doing Aerosmith videos with Alicia Silverstone.
I will say we rarely.
That was an accident, but
That was the Death Star.
Kind of perfect.
yeah, it's kind of perfect.
I will say we rarely ever have one of the words of the title in the clue, but we did this time.
Oh, jeez, you don't got to give him a second clue.
Ree, can you say the clue one more time? I'm
listen
sorry.
to him.
Clue is taking someone's beauty away without them knowing. I mean, it's a pretty simple one.
Yeah.
I know that's probably a subtle clue as well. Taking somebody's beauty away.
Liv Tyler, 1996. Also, Ralph Fiennes, Jeremy Irons, and Rachel Weisz. Matt, we need an answer.
Taking someone's beauty away with. I can't even venture a guess. I got nothing on this. Nothing. The Jedi mind trick.
Wow. Jack wins this one by default.
Oh, wow.
It's a
You do have a
walk-off.
chance for a steal. What would you say off of that clue?
Give me yours one more time, not to belabor this. Just
Yeah. Name the 1996 film that starred Liv Tyler, Ralph Fiennes, Jeremy Irons, and Rachel Weisz.
But the thing is that my guess is Stealing Beauty, but I don't. Wow,
Is that it?
That's it.
that
Shit,
is
it's
it.
really easy. It's right on the nose.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
That is the worst clue. Stealing beauty.
I think the clue gave it away.
Taking someone's beauty without them knowing.
Yeah, but wonderful clue by Elias.
Thank
Jack
you.
wins this one 5-3. Can we get a handshake on the Death
Handshake.
Star here?
Well done, sir.
All right.
Well
Death
done.
Star.
The jawbreaker was this, in case it came down to a tie. It would have been over to Jack. Jack, who is the most beautiful girl in Beautiful Girls? Natalie Portman or Uma Thurman?
Bear in mind, in Beautiful Girls, Natalie Portman is, I believe.
But we can just say, you don't got to.
I've never seen that. I've actually not seen that movie, which is kind of weird. I know a lot of people have seen
Worth
it.
it.
It's good.
Oh, yeah.
Worth it not to see it, or worth
No,
it
no,
to
no.
see
Worth
it
it to see.
I got to think it's Natalie Portman.
I'd go with that also.
Queen Amidala.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Our real jawbreaker was this: Angela Lansbury, dead or alive?
Wow, that's morbid.
No kidding. Age of Angela Lansbury.
She's alive, by the way.
She is alive, I know. Age of Angela Lansbury. Funny story. I was out in L.A. I was doing the Star Map tour, and just being a total tourist. And I was up in the hills there, and I finally sort of ran out of road where all the cool people were living. And I was like, I'll just turn around. And I looked in the Star Map, and I was in Angela Lansbury's driveway. It's not even a gated. You can just pull into her. Pretty funny.
Did you pop in for a spot of tea?
I didn't, but I thought it was pretty funny.
She might have done some bed knobs and broomsticks on
Age
you.
of Angela Lansbury closest to.
Loved that movie.
Me too.
Yeah.
What do you got, Matt?
86.
Wow, 86. Lock him in at 86. Jack, you got a guess?
So she's in Manchurian Candidate, which is pretty early, and 86 is probably a pretty good guess. When was Murder, She Wrote? 90s? She must have been
late 80s, early 90s, I would say.
She was probably in her like 40s, 50s. I'm gonna say 77.
Give this one to Matt Kay. She is 91 years
old.
Holy shit.
Good for her.
Yeah.
She's in Betty White territory.
Angela Lansbury, 91. Yeah.
Somewhat absent from the public light of late, but at 91, it's I guess
getting
understandable.
Up there, no doubt. Boy, oh boy, hate when they come to an end, these Cinemajaws. They are
do
fun.
too. This was a really good one.
Especially when we're recording up
this
here on
is
the Death Star. This was really something special.
Kind of special, right?
You know what? I hope this place is around for a really long time.
Yeah, I'm excited to come back.
Yeah, I am too. I can't wait to come back to the Death Star. Did you enjoy your stay, Elias?
It's been a blast. And yeah, it's cold in here, even in the jaw box, but it's awesome being in space.
Yeah. Can't wait to go see the prison block. I hear that's supposed to be awesome. So.
Well, we got the tour coming up.
Yeah, the tour should be nice. I hear there's free cocktails.
Got a screening room and stuff.
Should be awesome. Pretty cool. First and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Jack Newell. Thanks again for coming on Cinemajaw.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
We also got to thank all our sponsors.
Yes, thanks to all the sponsors and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get those sponsors.
And we also got to thank the best engineer in the biz, Elias Rodriguez.
Thank you guys, and thank you again for letting me review another movie on an episode. I appreciate it.
There you go. Also, special thanks to our editor, Phil, who makes this beautiful Death Star come to life on this episode. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Much appreciated.
He always does a great job.
He sure does. If you like this episode of Cinemajaw, please subscribe to us on iTunes. If you already do, leave us a review. Those reviews help attract more jawheads.
Yes, jump on Facebook, give Cinemajaw a like, and write us some feedback at feedback@cinemajaw.com.
And we are on Instagram. I'm going to take some pictures out the window here on the Death Star because the view is just great. So check out our Instagram for those photos.
Until next week, I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.
Mind your stormtroopers, full battle armor is required at all times. Brown cloak was brought to the lost and found today, and expressions of individuality are strictly forbidden. This announcement is for all stormtroopers.